Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FZY Summer Camp 2024 Parent Evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Joel. I'm the FZY Executive Director. And got with me this evening, we've got Lucy, who is FZY's Mazkira National Director, Gal Osher, who's FZY's Central Shlicha, and Jamie, who is a movement worker who will be also based on our summer camp this summer. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to share my screen to share a presentation, and then we will get going. Okay, so 1 second. There we go. I think we are up and running. Okay, so this evening, this is the plan for this evening. To talk you through a variety of different aspects of our summer camp this year. What I will ask for you to do is if you do have questions as we go along, please put them in the chat forum. Jamie will be monitoring that as the evening goes on, and at the end of the presentation, we will answer all of those questions. Just for you to know, just for security reasons, like you do need to be a subscriber to the YouTube channel in order to comment in the live chat. So if you do have anything to ask, please pop that in there, and we'll get to that shortly. In the meantime, these are as I said, these are the agenda items we're going to go through. So we're actually going to start off just touching a little bit about like who are FZY, and I'm actually going to pass over to Lucy to share that information with us.
Okay, hi everyone. So who are we? Who is FZY? So we are the Federation of Zionist Youth. We are a pluralist Jewish and Zionist youth movement, which basically means that we cater for all denominations of Judaism, and our programming centers around Judaism and Israel. We operate across the whole of the UK, operating differently in different areas, with our main office being in London. We exist all year round, running weekly Hadrachat activities, Shabbatons, additional activities around the Jewish and Israeli holidays, as well as ideological campaigns in order to support the Jewish community and Israel. We also run a 9-month gap year program in Israel as well as a variety of summer programs across various locations in the UK and abroad for young people up until their early 20s. We've got 4 aims, which kind of around the Jewish pluralist and Zionist underpins what we do, which is Magen, defend, sort of against anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, Tarbut, culture, Israeli and Jewish culture, language, food, music, Tzedakah, charity, giving back, and Aliyah Nimshecha, moving to Israel and actively working for the betterment of the state. So that is a bit about who we are and what we do year round in the summer.
Thanks, Lucy. So what I want to do now is we're going to that's a little bit of who we are. Now, the rest of this time, we're going to obviously focus specifically on the summer camp itself. But kind of like who we are really encapsulates how we build the summer camp program. So let's start about like the actual staff who will be both on the summer camp and helping to build and prepare and get everything ready for the summer camp. So this is our kind of like I guess organizational chart for this summer. And every position here, and actually some of these positions, especially down here where you see some of the madrachim positions, which are the youth leaders, there's a lot more than just one person here. But everyone on this chart, from kind of like this level under, for under the executive director, which is myself and the Mazkira Lucy, will be at camp full time. Both myself and Lucy will be in and out of camp throughout the summer. And as will our board of directors, who will be there visiting and supporting as well. But the camp itself will be headed up by Galosha, who is on the call, who is here, who is there as the movement Rosh, the movement head of camp. And she'll be joined by someone called Charlie, who is going to be the adult head of camp, the adult Rosh. So it's just so we know a little bit about them. Like Galosha she's just finishing her second year of working for FZY in the UK, and she has a lot of experience working with young people and Jewish youth. Charlie is in his 40s. He's a teacher. He has been teaching now for about 15 or so years. He's the head of he's the head of a subject within the country that he within the country as well. Diplomacy. He's the head of diplomacy within the school system. He has a couple of kids who will actually be joining the program as well. And so they're kind of like the two heads of the summer camp, and underneath them they have a whole team of people. So under Charlie there are people like the senior wellbeing officer, who this year we have someone joining us who's works at JFS, has been working at JFS now for I think about 8 years. She is the designated safeguarding lead for one of the school years at JFS, and she'll be overseeing the well-being on camp, both the welfare officers, the first aiders who we have on camp, who are all people who have gone through the proper training, the right courses in order to be able to support both the the physical health and the mental health of the young people who are there. This year, we will be actually bringing our communications team to be on site. Normally, they have been in previous years, they've been based in our London office. This year, we're bringing a couple of the team to actually be on site. So the communication that you'll be having throughout the summer, and we'll touch upon that a little bit later in this presentation, will actually be there on site and working from there with their sole responsibility to communicate with you. And Charlie will also be responsible for the security that we'll have on camp, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. The site itself, and the kitchen, the head of the kitchen, the shomer, to ensure that our food is delivered on time, is good, and is healthy. Galosha will be more focusing on the programmatic side of things. And so she will be there are a variety of different coordinators of Rakazim who will be there. Jamie, who we introduced at the start, will be one of those. So they all have slightly different roles. Some of them are more educational coordinators, some of them are more dealing with logistics, some of them are more technical. And underneath them, each of them will have madrichim, will have youth leaders who will be working and supporting, and they're the ones who will be interfacing mainly with your children. In total this year, we actually will have a staff ratio of around, for every one participant, there are around 2 staff on camp. So it's a very, very high ratio of staff to young people. And this is kind of like the staffing and how it works. And we have a lot of support for both the people there. We have a lot, obviously, as FZY being a youth movement, and something as Lucy explained, there's a lot of youth empowerment, which is there. But we have made sure that they are surrounded and supported by experienced people, and we're giving all of these young people the training so they can provide a very positive experience for your children. The last group of people that which I haven't mentioned here is actually to do with like Israeli delegations, and I'm actually going to pass on to Galosha to talk us through a little bit about the Israeli delegations who are coming to our camp this summer.
Thank you, Joel. So this summer we got 3 Israeli delegation on site on camp. We got the leaders delegation. It's 15 madrichim that are gonna come from across of all Israel that had interview and exams, and they chose to come to be a leaders of our program. This is around the 10 years already that we got the cooperation between the scouts, between the tzofim, the Israeli tzofim. We got also 15 chanichim, 15 kids that are gonna come from Haifa area, from the scouts as well. Again, this is the same collab, the same cooperation that we got from the past 10 years with FZY and the scouts. And we got also another delegation that's going to come from Eshkol region, from near the Gaza border. A few of them are from the Re'im, and few of them from Kibbutz Be'eri. All of them had also interviews. They met with professional and also like been chosen to be the exact chanichim for our camp. And also like the Jewish agency made sure that they are all good and ready for this kind of experience. each delegation gonna have 2 senior staff that are gonna come with them. So basically, how are we gonna build the program? So before we're gonna start to build the schedule, we all the movement team sitting around and we are overview all the program. First of all, the first thing that it's important to us is to feel safe. To feel safe during the schedule, to feel safe in general on site and on camp and off site. The welfare and communication, it's something that's really, really important to us while we are building the program. Our program is based on values of FZY. That means that our camp is educational with fun because it's a youth movement camp. We are also thinking about general core educational program and of course fun and engagement. So core elements of the program. Every day it's look different than other day, but there is the basic thing that quite similar than like for each day. For example, every day it starts with breakfast and then it starts with Mr. Boker. Mr. Boker is the time for all the chanichim, all the kids, and all the madrichim to stand in a chet together and to sing and to have like a lot of energy and atmosphere for the camp. And this is how we're gonna start the day every day on camp. Every day we're gonna have kvutza time. Every day we're gonna have drum time, which means is the time for the kids to have a time with their madrichim, with a specific madrichim. Every kvutza gonna have 16 chanichim and 3 madrichim, 2 British and 1 Israeli. Every day we're gonna have educational activity, 1 peula, 1 session about our aims, as I said that it's based on FZY core values. And every day, we got on-site activity that it can be or climbing or archery, abseil, caving, bouldering, Jacob's ladder, and leap. And one day we have a off-site activity that we're going in the morning to off-site activities that unfortunately now I can't say exactly what we're gonna do because we are in the finalizing of the off-site activities, but it's a full day of off-site. We got the extreme day that's called Maccabiah, Color War, that this is like the funniest day on camp. This is what all the chanichim and all the madrichim are looking for. We got chugim every day. Every 2 days we got chugim that the chanichim can choose which chugim they want to choose, which like different activity they want to choose. It's optional for them. And of course, we got Shabbat in FZY. It's really, really special. We got the Shabbat atmosphere. We got a lot of ruach, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks, Galosha. And one thing that I just want to add as well to what Galosha said is that, these days are packed. Like for us, it's important that, that there isn't, downtime, that there isn't much free time. There'll obviously be some breaks in between sessions and over meal times, which will be also structured and our staff will be around. But for us, it's important that the days are packed and that the young people have got something to be doing and getting on with all the time. What I want to do now is to focus on some of the other elements of the program. So the first and what we're providing. So a little bit about the medical and welfare. And so we, as I'm kind of mentioned before, we have dedicated staff who are kind of like focused on the medical and welfare. I mentioned that the kind of like the head of that well-being team is someone who has, I think, for the last 8 years been a designated safeguarding lead at JFS, has lots of experience there. In terms of the medical team, they're made up with people who are currently in medical school, who with at least 3 years of experience within that, who've all got the correct first aid at work qualifications, and the welfare team are also people with experience which have gone through the correct training. So there's a team of people there who are just dedicated really to ensuring the medical and welfare of the young people. In terms of medication, medication will be collected on arrival. And we will look after that medication. We'll ensure that the chanachim will receive that as and when it's required, to make sure that things won't get lost or won't be forgotten. Should there be a need, there is a hospital which is about 20 minutes from the site. And obviously we can also create doctor's appointments and other things like that, should the need arise, and that will be kind of like determined by the medical staff who are there. And everything that we do, like all medical and welfare related issues, are recorded on a CPOM system, which is a system which I know a lot of the different schools use as well, to ensure that we are reporting and tracking everything that is going on with the medical, with the health and the welfare of the young people. So safety and security. So it's important to note, which is here in bold at the top, that the safety, security, and welfare of all the participants is our #1 priority. That is the case every year. That's the case on all of our programs. That before we do anything else and before we make any organization or everything, that we need to make sure that the program and the participants are safe. Mentioned before that we have like dozens of madrachim and staff at our camp to facilitate its success, to look after the young people, and to be a support to them. The site that we are using is we have sole exclusivity at the site, so we will be the only group and the only people who will be on that site during the entirety of the time that we are there. It's a closed site, it's a gated site, and we will have security on the entrance as well. All of the security that we are organizing for the site is being coordinated with the CST. They're supporting us, and we're hearing their advice. All the staff also will be trained in safety and security procedures, so they know that should a situation arise, they will know how to deal with it. What is the protocol in any given situation? This year, given like the heightened situation which is going on around the UK at the moment and around the world at the moment, we recognise that there's an increase of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiment within the UK, and so it's important for us that when we leave the site, there will be additional security that will be with the group, but also there will be other protocols and other procedures that are being in place. For example, like we always ask the participants to wear one of our camp t-shirts when they're going out as a group together. They'll be receiving 2 t-shirts. One of them will be a normal t-shirt that they will receive, which will have FZY's logo on it, may refer to some Jewish or Zionist or Israel related matters. Another one will be a t-shirt which won't have any Hebrew, which won't have any mention of Israel or Jewish symbols, so that they will not be identifiable at all as a Jewish or a Zionist group when they're leaving the site. Like it hurts me to say that this is something that we have to do, but obviously, as I said, the safety and security comes first, and this is something that we're putting in place. And there are other procedures as well, protocols we're putting in place as well for times that we're leaving the site. All of the participants will have like security and safety briefings as well, whether that's fire drills or whether that's a security drill, so that the participants as well as the staff will know what they need to do should a situation arise. But we are confident that that we can run a very secure and safe program. And as I said, like all of our operations are coordinated with the CST, and they're well aware of our program and how it is that we need to manage that to make sure that it will be safe. I want to pass on now to Lucy, who's going to talk through a few other elements of the program.
Okay, so I'm going to speak about a few of the logistics for this summer. I'm going to start with the site and travel. Before I do, I'm just going to state that because we are on a YouTube live stream for security purposes, I'm not going to be specific on this call about locations and timings. But that will be being sent out over the next week. So the location of the site was sent in the information booklet. This is a Kingswood site, which we have worked with before. All of the dormitories are in buildings, and it is an enclosed site, which we have exclusive use of. Room sizes range between 4 to 10 participants. And it's an amazing site with lots of green space and really, really like amazing site and staff team there. The travel arrangements, as I said, we're going to send out over the next week, which will have the pick up and drop off locations and timings. Something I just want to add in here is for London drop off, for those of you who have been on an FZY camp before and you've maybe dropped off your child before, we have changed the way London Drop Off is working this year. So we will be meeting in a place where we can actually register each child, collecting medication and mobile phones before they depart to camp. It will be more of a process rather than them kind of just meeting and getting on the bus. So as I said, over the next week, we will be sending out the exact location and timings for drop off and pick up. So now moving back to food. All food on our camp is kosher, and we offer a varied meal, which is healthy, with 3 meals a day, ranging from meaty, veggie, pesky, all different types of food. We also cater for all dietary requirements that you have provided us with on your application forms. Therefore, if your child is vegetarian, there'll be a vegetarian option. If your child is gluten-free, we will make sure we have gluten-free at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and any snack times during Shabbat we provide. We also, as Joel said, we have our shomer and head chef, and the food comes in with an outside catering company who we work with, sending all the dietary requirements. So we're very on it, and we've got a team kind of in place to make sure your children are eating and they've got the food they need for their dietary requirements. So on to spending money. We have a tuck shop on camp, which will sell some snacks as well as FZY merchandise. The snacks are sort of chocolate bars, drinks, things like that they might want to buy. And these all range between 50p to £1.50. We'll also be selling FZY merchandise, which will include tote bags, jumpers, water bottles, and a variety of other things. And these will all range from around like £5 to 20-ish pounds. So this is the only spending money they should need on the site, and how much you choose to give your child is completely up to you. As I said, we will be providing all food. Is if they want to buy something from the tuck shop or if they want to buy merchandise, that's entirely up to you how much you decide to give your child. The way we are going to be doing tuck money, if you have been on our program before, again, this is a new way we're doing it this year, is we will be sending out a Google form, which will basically ask you to let us know how much money you want to give your child and ask you to transfer it into us before camp. So we've got that all on a spreadsheet. We'll also be asking for your bank details to be able to return back any money to you that your child does not spend in the tuck shop. Also, on the coach to camp, we'll ask you to provide your child with a packed lunch, but they will be stopping at a service station. Therefore, if you would like them to have any money for that, the service station, that is entirely up to you. On the way back, we will be providing a packed lunch for the journey home, but again, we will be stopping at a service station. So money isn't essential at all. It's not necessary, but whatever you choose, you want your child to be sent with for the tuck shop or for service stations, is entirely your choice. And also this year, we will be asking for a refundable security deposit of £50. This is completely refundable if your child does not damage anything of the sites. So if your child damages something in their room or something breaks out between people in a communal space and something breaks, then this security deposit is to cover that. But as I said, we have full intention of refunding that, and we'd rather nothing gets broken on the site. So onto the Google form I was speaking about. The Google form I was speaking about before. We're going to be sending that out with the travel arrangements in the next week. This Google form has 2 parts to it. The first part is about the security deposit and the tuck shop, which we will be asking you to send into some bank details. And as I said, we'll be asking for your bank details as we have full intention of refunding it. And also the second part of the Google form will ask about your child's Hagim choice. As Galosha mentioned, Hagim will be different activities that are happening during camp, and we're going to try and make these groups and put your child in different places, different activities before. Therefore, we would really appreciate you filling out this Google form as soon as we send it out, so we can make sure your child gets their choice of activity, as well as make sure we know what money's coming in for tuck, so we can make sure your child has that money ready to go for the tuck shop. Okay, so on to the packing list. So in the last information booklet we sent out, we sent a packing list. I just want to highlight a few things while we've kind of got everyone on this call. So firstly, camp is full of activities. They're outside, they're indoors, they're to do with water, to do with paint, they're to do with everything. So please bring clothes that you're happy with your child to get dirty, sweaty. We'd recommend that you don't bring your most expensive attire for everyday camp activities. We also ask, it says it in the packing list, but to bring 2 plain white t-shirts, which will be used for activities such as something like the colour war or tie-dye or other things that might crop up. Also, we will be sending out a lot nearer the time to camp the Maccabea teams, which Galosh obviously mentioned is our sort of big sporting day competition. And each Maccabea team is a colour. So we will be sending out your child's colour, what team they're on. So it'd be great for them to have that something of that colour with them to wear on that day. Also, you know, hopefully we get lovely sunny weather in England. And we get to be outside all day, every day. That would be the dream. So please, we ask you to make sure you're sending your child with sun cream and a hat, because it's very important that we stay safe in the sun to avoid sunstroke and any other sun-related issues. Moving on to Shabbat clothes, as Galosha mentioned, like FZY Shabbat, it's a break from the schedule, it's a break in the week, it's a really amazing atmosphere. And in order to create this, we ask that on Shabbat, we ask your children to bring something smarter to wear for Shabbat. This is again on the packing list. We do ask if when they will be attending different services. As I said, we cover denominations across the board from Orthodox to Reform to Masorti, etc. We do ask that their shoulders will be covered for when they are in a service. But yes, smart, appropriate, nice clothing for Shabbat. And then finally, I just want to touch on deodorant. Ideally, we are asking if you can bring your child with a roll-on deodorant rather than a spray deodorant. You know, sometimes when you're that age, it's funny to use a spray deodorant to go up to the sensor and set the fire alarm off. If the fire alarm goes off a certain amount of times, firstly, the site can fine us, which can be something that can come out of a security deposit if we're getting fined because of that. But also, like as Galosha mentioned, we've got kids coming who are from the Gaza border, and just kind of thinking of what that means for us. It's, as I said, they've been trained, they've been tested, we've had multiple interviews, conversations, they're very ready to come and safe to come. But in order to kind of not trigger any reminders of what they went through those months ago and what they may be still going through in their homes, the fire alarm going off could be triggering. So we ask for your help in this as a bit of a partnership, to just pack your child with a roll-on deodorant and speak to them if they've got any other sprays to make sure we're not spraying it in sensors, just so we're being as welcoming and inclusive we can to all our participants.
Thanks, Lucy. We do know from using the site previously as well, the fire alarms there are very sensitive, which is why we're asking them not to bring any like spray aerosols. The last couple of things we just want to touch on before we'll turn to James, who's been like, I'm sure, collating questions which have been coming in. Code of conduct. You all should have seen that, and your children should have seen, in terms of kind of like what the rules are of the program, what we expect from the young people in terms of it's really much about like respect, being a part of the program, being a part of the community that we're trying to build, and like kind of we ask that before the program begins, that you have a chat with your son, with your daughter, just to kind of make sure that they do understand what is expected of them and the rules of the program, so that we can ensure that we'll have a nice positive experience altogether. And of course, like should there be individuals that do not respect that code of conduct, then we do have a disciplinary ladder, and we will kind of like follow through there, because we want to ensure that we can have a safe and enjoyable camp for everyone. Final slide that we're going to touch on, I think, is communication. So I think we've kind of like semi-touched on it a little bit, but we have a no phone policy on our summer camp. The reason why we have this is we want them to be away from kind of like the outside world. We want them to kind of like fully focus in on our programming, fully focus in on the social element that we're providing there. And by having a phone on camp, it's very difficult to do that. We will be providing participants their phone back twice on camp for around a 30-minute spell. Like we will let you know in advance when we expect that to be, so you'll know roughly when to expect a call from your child. Please be aware, like there's not necessarily fantastic phone reception for all phone providers there, but we have ensured there will be Wi-Fi throughout the site. So it may be that that it'll be easier for your kids to, when they have their phone time, to call you via WhatsApp call or something like that, where it's via Wi-Fi rather than through the phone itself. So that's the way it will be operating. As I mentioned before, we have a team of parent liaison and another couple of people who will be there on staff, whose main responsibility is communicating with you. So when you call the FZY office, the line will actually ring in the campsite itself, and they'll be on hand to help, to answer your questions, to support you in any ways that you have. And that they will be there, and they'll be able to quickly get answers to questions if they don't have the answers on hand already. We will be sending daily updates every day apart from Shabbat. And we'll be also, sending out photos, posting things on our social media. So you can follow and track kind of like what your children are getting up to and what they're doing throughout camp in those ways. We're also this year setting up a parent WhatsApp group. It's a broadcast group only. Only a few staff from the FZY team will be able to send messages on that, and that's just to let you know either that a message has gone out to you, or if there's an important messages that we need to share at any point throughout the camp. We have a quick and easy way to be able to do that, which will go like directly to your phone. And finally, like we have an emergency phone which is on and charged 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always someone who is available even outside of our office opening hours, where you can contact us, and we can be there. We do ask that if it's only to contact the emergency line if it is emergency and outside of office hours. So we do want to make sure that line is kept free for real emergencies. And if you have other questions which may be there outside of the office opening hours, then feel free to either leave a message on our voicemail or via email to our team, and we'll make sure that we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to turn it over to Jamie to see if any questions have been coming in.
Hi, everyone. So actually, we haven't got any questions yet, so maybe it might be worth waiting a minute or so in case anyone was waiting to save their question and now wants to ask it.
Great. We'll hang on a minute or so whilst we're waiting to see if any questions come in, and maybe we just did such a great job at being able to provide all the information that everyone was after. I'll just like remind people now, like this is this presentation, it will be saved to our YouTube channel. So if you joined a little bit late and you missed part of it, or if you just want to kind of like review any of the messaging which has gone out, then shortly after we finish this, close up this meeting, you will be able to access that on our channel. And what we will also try and do is we'll send out the link to that. We'll send out the link to that so that you are able to, access it easier. Okay. Okay. Jamie, any questions?
So one person asked, have you booked with Kingswood? Is there a risk of the campsite location being leaked, specifically the Jewish it being a Jewish camp and that location coming out?
So like the the organization that we have booked with has got like several sites around the country. I like when we're not they concerned about any we purposely have not been sharing information about where the camps are, where the site is based, anything like that at all. To see like everything in terms of like our communication publicly, and any public forums about the site and where it is, and things like that have all kind of like gone through CST approval. So we're not concerned about any of those things. And as we mentioned before, that we do have, that we're liaising with CST, making sure that we've got the right security protocols in place, in the same way that that Jewish schools, the synagogues, etc., all follow kind of like similar protocols through the CST. Like FZY are doing exactly the same thing and following their advice as to what security we need, what we can say publicly, what we can't say publicly about where the camp is, etc. So we are confident that we'll be able to provide a safe environment for your children this summer.
And just a couple more questions. One person asks, are children allowed their phones on the journey to and from the site? Just wondering, so they can use Apple Pay at the service stations.
And so we will be collecting in the phones at the meeting points this year. So before they get on the bus, though, that's when we'll be collecting that in. So if there is, if you want them to be able to have some money for the service station, we recommend that just a small amount in cash. They won't have access to their phones for the coach journeys.
And there's one more question right now. It's about accommodation. So last year was also a Kingswood site, and they ended up sleeping outside in tents. Can we confirm that this year they are actually sleeping in dorms inside a building?
Yes, I can confirm that everyone will be sleeping inside buildings, inside dorms this year. There's no outdoor camping, outdoor sleeping. Is that everything, Jamie?
Yeah, that's everything right now.
Okay, so what I would say is we're going to wrap up the evening here. I also know that it's already clashing with the beginning of an important football game that some people may want to watch. So we're going to wrap up the evening here. If people do have more questions at any other time, then please do feel free to reach out to the FZY office via email, via phone. We're more than happy to answer any of your questions at any point. And I thank you all for joining us this evening. I thank you all for trusting us with your children this summer, and we are very much looking forward to the start of summer camp in a month or so from now. So thank you and good night. Okay, I think we're offline.